Dear participants, good afternoon to every one of you. I, on behalf of the Department of Political Science, Dr. Subramanian Sir, Professor and Head, Department of Political Science and Public Administration, technical resource persons, Stevanesan and Narmada, on behalf of all of them, I welcome you all to the afternoon session of the third day of the online course on life skills for students. Today, in this session, we have a resource person, Dr. M. Palanichami, Associate Professor of English, Kanji Mamunivar Government Institute for Postgraduate Studies and Research, Pondicherry. Sir has rich experience in studies and has rich experience in teaching. And he has presented several articles in reputed journals and published articles in those journals. And he's going to talk on communication skills, presentation, writing, and non-verbal communications. So for the last 3 days, we have been witnessing several resource persons are talking on different aspects which are very crucial to the life skills. So today, one of the very effective medium, that is communication. So how the communication will help us to enable our living in a more improved manner. So Dr. Palanichami is the right person who can talk about communication skills and is writing non-verbal communication. Palanichami is known to me for more than 20 years since his research in Annamalai University, and he is a very effective communicator. Whatever he thinks, he is able to convey very effectively through his communication skills. So he is a very fitting personality to talk about the topic on communication skills. Now, I invite and request Dr. Palanichami to speak on his lecture. Thank you, audience. It is over to Palanichami now. Please, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Balamurugan.
Yes.
I feel really happy and I feel delighted and honored on watching the concrete contribution of Dr. Subramanian Sir, Professor and Head of the Department of Political Science, and Dr. Balamurugan, and others, and all the technical experts who are contributing to this online sessions. I hope, dear participants, you all stay safe at home. Though we stay safe at home, at the same time, now we'll have to be academically be activated. And this team of people at Annamalai University, in fact, has made many academic scholars work on the topics, though they are off the campus. So even when they are off the campus, they are on and on with their researchers and students. And this is possible by the strenuous effort made by the team of people at in the Department of Political Science. Especially the credit goes to Dr. Subramanian, the professor and head of the Department of Political Science. Really, with these few words, I'd like to pass on the day to my participants, delegates, and research scholars. Good afternoon, all of you. To begin with, I have a few small questions about communication. Being a professor of English, I hope it will be very ideal and reasonable to ask these questions before the start of my lecture. You know, communication has got different modes, different structures, different forms, and different ways, you can say. But being a professor of English, my trust will be more on communication in English, presentation of a content in English, how we are going to communicate, and how we are going to present our communication in a language which is universal. So my thrust will be on communication in English. The power of effective presentation skills has made many personalities world popular. World popular. I like to ask you a simple question. W-O-R-D we call word. W-O-R-L-D we pronounce it as world. There is a great difference between word and world, but they're identical when we pronounce, when we hear. But at the same time, if you look at the meaning of these two words, we will understand what kind of importance the words possess in extending the meaning to the receivers. For example, T-E-A-C-H-E-R, teacher. T-E-A-C-H, teach. C-H-E-A, teach it. You know, the misplacement or the displacement or the rearrangement of words and letters and the meanings will totally change the meaning or eradicate the purpose of the communicator. For some, a word is world. For some people, the entire world is just a word, that's all. So during this corona epidemic, for some people, exercise or outing or going for a walk or getting relieved from the domestic atmosphere are the very big concerns. For some, going out for their food, their daily bread, right, makes no sense. But the corona doesn't make any sense for them. So this is how a word is a world for some people. The world is just a word for some people. And therefore, this is regarding the meaning that the word tries to communicate to the receivers. Okay. So from this perspective, I like to tell you who are the audience we are going to concentrate and what are the contents we are going to present and how we should present. And for this, we have some simple rules and techniques to reach the targeted audience. And I have framed the topic like this: the power of effective presentation skills. And I thank Dr. Balamurugan for a nice introduction. I like to show you some of the points of good communication. Well, I believe that we are in the advanced stage of communication. English is not just a language. English is not just a communication. English has become an identity of a person. You know, if I ask you, if I ask the question, what is English? Some people will say it's just a language, And if I ask a person at the collegiate level, he'll say, what is English? That is a boring subject. And I've got this number of arrears and that number of. And if you ask some people in the IT field, what is English? That is the only big headache that prevents my career growth. So like that, if you ask a simple question like this, what is English? Everybody has got his own or her own ways of interpretations. But to be very frank, English is not just a language today. English is not just a communication today. And beyond that, English has become an identity of a person. And we are concerned about communication here at the public level. So what makes a good person, what makes a good public speaker? We communicate in different atmospheres. We communicate for different purpose. And we communicate on different platforms.
Excuse me,
and
sir.
to be yes,
share பண்றீங்களா?
I am sharing it.
பட் ஷேர் ஆகல எனக்கு. உங்களுடைய இமேஜ் தான் தெரியுது எனக்கு. Your image is only.
Is it okay now? Is it okay now?
We are watching your image only, not the PPT share. கொஞ்சம் வெளில வந்து உள்ள போறீங்க உனக்கு?
Is it okay now?
இல்ல, not okay now.
What makes a good public speaker?
Sir?
First slide.
இல்ல இப்ப ஸ்லைட் உங்களுடைய இமேஜ் மட்டும் தான் தெரியுது எனக்கு. நீங்க உட்கார்ந்து பண்ற மாதிரி தான். நீங்க ஷேர் பண்ணாம போயிட்டீங்களோ?
I'm sharing it.
இல்ல ஸ்கிரீனை டச் பண்ணி ஷேர் வந்தப்போ தானே போனீங்க?
Just 1 minute, please.
ஒன்றும் ப்ராப்ளம் இல்ல.
Sorry, we are all techno illiterate to some extent. We will definitely excel in this kind of presentations too. Just a minute. Share. Yes, I'm sharing.
எப்படி தெரியும் அவருக்கு அப்புறம் தெரியும். இல்ல
Are you able to see this?
இல்ல என்ன தெரியலையா? ஜூம் போங்க ஒரு நிமிஷம்.
Okay, I'm touching sharing. No thanks. Share. Sorry, just
okay, no problem.
Going to Zoom. I'm touching sharing.
இப்ப கரெக்ட்டா பண்ணுங்க. இப்ப ஷேர் பண்ணிட்டு போங்க.
Document. Just a minute. Share
screen.
Share screen.
Share போனது பிறகு இல்ல ஸ்கிரீன் இருக்கு இல்லையா?
Yeah, share screen. Yes, screen. Start show.
It's okay. I think very good. It's going on right direction now.
Am I correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Now, Palanisammy sir, it's okay, sir. You just proceed.
Yeah. Thank you.
Slide show போயிடுங்க ஒரு தடவை.
Slide show. Yes. Is it okay now?
Yes, perfect.
Thank you. Dear participants, sorry for the inconvenience. And the power of effective presentation skills in English. As I told you, we are talking about communication today. Communication in what? Communication in English. We communicate on different platforms for different purposes and on different contexts. But how we communicate? We will look at 3 V's in the following slides. What 3 V's stand for? No problem, I tell you. There are some simple rules for effective presentation, how to structure your presentation and the use of PowerPoint. We got all this. How a public speaker can equip himself to reach the target audience. We say, there is a proverb. That's a wise newspaper, what do you call it, anecdote. Dog bites a man. If the Hindu newspaper publishes this news as a headline, probably everybody will look at it as a laughing stock. Whereas if you say man bites a dog, definitely that becomes a news. And this, according to journalism, is an example for what is a content, what is a news. So whatever we communicate should possess an idea, because meaning is not fixed. Meaning is referential. Meaning is contextual. Meaning is textual sometimes. Meaning is individual. Meaning is collective. Meaning is a kind of interpolation. Meaning is arbitrary. Meaning is a kind of arbitrariness. So what we communicate may not reach everybody as we intend. There are different parameters for reaching the audience. So the vocal, verbal, and visual communications, the three V's, the vocal, visual, and the verbal communications may not be successful all the time for various reasons. And there are some simple methods which we can see as the solutions. And you look at the traditional definition of communication. That who says what to whom? Simple. Who says what to whom? If you want to present something to somebody, and who is the presenter, what is presented, and who is the receiver? The sender, the message, and the receiver. The sender should be connected to the receiver, and the receiver should be in good rapport with the sender. So the sender and the receiver should have the thread of connection, right? The connection that is made by, that is strengthened by the message. Probably the sender may like his message, but the receiver may not even consider it as a message. So who is the target audience? What kind of message the sender is sending? The sender, the speaker says something. When the something is not connected to the receiver, that becomes a failure in communication. So the sender, the message, and the receiver are the important aspects to be taken care of. Now, how we really communicate? For example, you must have seen some politicians on the stage, and all the fans of the politicians would not have a big connection to the politicians, but everybody will be listening to them. The thing that is a kind of different listening. But here, the presentation as an academician, the presentation as a scholar, the presentation as a student, as a faculty, right, has got a targeted audience and has got a targeted presentation. I mean the message. So you should have the source, the speaker. You should have the audience, the perceiver. And in between, what is important is the message or the content. You know, the three, yeah. There is some, Balamurugan sir. I hope I shall proceed.
No problem, sir. You proceed.
I think there are three. There are three ways of communication: verbal communication, vocal communication, and visual communication. For the last one, nobody is compelled or forced to speak. Can show a picture and ask the students to draw something related to that. You can show a picture and ask the students to write a story. And you can show a picture and attract the public audience. And you can publish a banner, or you can in the form of a cutout and in a big slide or signboards like that. There are different visuals, right, which can communicate for an advertisement, right? For whatever visual communication comes under the technical aspect of communication. But what is important for a public speaker is verbal. So the verbal and vocal parts of communication are the most significant aspects of a good communicator on the stage. Let it be a classroom platform, let it be a platform on the seminar, or let it be a public speaking. What kind of word you use? The choice of diction. The verbal aspects primarily look at the choice of dictions, D-I-C-T-I-O-N, vocabulary, choice of vocabulary. What kind of word you choose? And what kind of for example, by what kind of word I can give you, I think better example. You say mother, mom. You say mother, mom, dad, father. Just a minute. One small clarification to Dr. Balamuran sir. Dr. Balamuran sir,
Yes, Panichami.
I know I have small doubt.
Yes.
Since it is online, I do not know what kind of audience they are.
Yes.
I'm addressing. Are they from different languages?
Yes, most of them are from different languages, even from different states also the participants are there, but most of them are students.
Most of them are students.
Yes.
But most of them don't belong to the same linguistic category.
Yes, yes, they belong to someone from Karnataka, someone from Maharashtra, somebody from Kerala is there.
Oh, okay. Maybe, but most of them are from are South Indians?
Yes, majority of them.
Okay, correct.
Okay, proceed.
So, dear participants, so when I give some examples, I cannot give examples which are not related to me beyond my linguistic and cultural background. Therefore, I just clarified this with Dr. Balamurugan sir. You know, I can give some verbal examples only from the cultural, linguistic, and social, political, agricultural background. So the verbal communication, this is an example. This is an example. When I am talking to you, I like to clarify the nature of the audience. Hope you understand. Audience are important. First, to whom I am talking? To whom I am talking? I am talking to the national audience, or audience of national repute, or audience of multicultural, multilingual, and multi-professional nature. So when I'm addressing the audience of multilingual and multicultural background, I need to have a particular choice of diction which will be commonly understood, or which will make me reach them commonly. When there is no commonality in the reception, then I'll be failing in my duty as a communicator to the audience. So choice of vocabulary refers to the words which would dress the thought, or the thought which looks so beautiful in the particular costume. You know, one Dr. Johnson says, language is the dress of thought. Language is the dress of thought. If there are some Tamil participants, they will understand. Language is the dress of thought. மொழி என்பது சிந்தனையின் ஆடை. When we look at somebody without a proper costume, we don't allow them in a cafeteria, or the owner of the restaurant won't permit. In an academic platform, a professor needs to have a particular costume that tells the students that he is a professor. At home, or in the normal domestic atmosphere, you don't have to be very formal in your costume, and you don't have to be very formal in your choice of vocabulary. But on a very formal stage, choice of vocabulary, choice of diction, right, matters too much. What kind of words you choose? Okay, you say they say amme, or they say amma in Tamil, right? Mother in English, and we say friend, we say companion, and we have ally, 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 political ally, right? We have Paul, PAL, Paul. Paul is a friend. So to refer to a particular person whom we consider a friend, we have different words. But what kind of particular word I have to choose here? For example, Winston Churchill, when he used to address the audience on the stage, says, "Dear comrades, dear comrades." COMRADES. Dear comrades. Comrade is a friend, but he is an audience friend. Friend is a simple term as we look at. But when you look at the list of words which refer to a friend, companion, ally, Chum, Chum, is also a friend. Chum, Paul, Pal, Paul, alter ego, Alter, right? Alter ego, Ego, the closest friend. I mean, the one who can alter, the one who can alter my ego, my I. He is my second I. I am the self. The second self is my friend. He is an alter ego, and he is a companion. Someone is a friend. He accompanies me, therefore he is my companion. I give him company, therefore I am his companion. So somebody is a chum, right? Right from your childhood, he will be your mate, he'll be your pet for a long time, right from your school days, right? Very close to you, chum. But need not be, a friend at the friend. Need not be a classmate at the college. Need not be a classmate at the post graduation or in your degree or at your workplace. But still, he is your friend. He's a chum. So there are different words which refer to a friend. There are different words. So you say Mother Teresa. You say Mother Teresa. Is Mother Teresa identical with the word which you use mother in relation to your mother? No. My mother is different. Mother Teresa is different. So words most of the time seem to be similar in meaning, but they are definitely unique in themselves. And therefore, choice of vocabulary is very much important. For example, there are some occasions. For example, you go to marriage, you go for a marriage function. Marriage is a very happy occasion. The mood of the audience, the mood of the people there will be in celebrity. It will be a celebrity mood. In a mood of celebration, they'll have very cheerful faces. They'll have very cheerful facial expressions, cheerful costume, very attractive, colorful, right? Costumes and ornaments with their costumes and cosmetics. They'll be very happy on the whole. When you look at them, you like to say hello. How do you say hello? Do you say hello in a falling tone or rising tone or falling rising tone or rising falling tone? You have to maintain a voice that is very formal. That's very formal. At the same time, cheerful, happy. So that's what I mean by tonality. The choice of word should always be married to the tonality of the speaker, the tone of the speaker. You say, wish you a happy married life. And can you say on the occasion of marriage, I have to decide whether I have to say, wish you a happy married life or wish you a very happy married life or wish you very, very happy married life or wish you very happy married life and post-married life, married relationship and post-married relationship. Is it possible? No. They will be cutting a sorry face and will be thrown out. So the choice of vocabulary, the sentences on a formal occasion should relate to all the audience. And a 60-year-old woman, a grandma, right, wants to bless the couple on the stage. I'm talking about the choice of word, choice of diction, vocabulary, contextual word. A 60-year-old woman just goes and goes on the stage and she is going to bless the couple. What kind of words she can use? Dear children, you should lead a very happy life with all wealth and health in your life. And you should be always happy and you should be blessed with the good number of children. You should be blessed with all bounties in life. These are the words she is expected to use on the stage. But imagine what will happen when the woman says, a 60-year-old woman says, the intention is blessing. But look at the words now. Look at the words now. Her intention is to bless the couple. But you see, you see how the woman is going to use another set of words. Another set of words. Dear children, you are not that much experienced in life. For anything in your life, ask your grandma, ask your grandpa. Suppose they want to, grandma, sorry, the mother-in-law or the father-in-law want to chase you out of the home, don't run away. Instead, you file a case. Instead, you go for a suit. And he will protect himself. You should protect yourself. And protecting both of you, you should lead a happy life. Am I okay? Am I okay? They'll be laughing like she will become a laughing stock. People will send her out. Send her out. And what kind of what kind of the tonality she should have? Must be a happy tone. You happen to meet your friend. On a stage, a professor starts the class. He goes to the classroom. He starts speaking. Dear students, good morning, all of you. Good morning, good morning. I feel very happy to meet you all after the Corona vacation. And how are you? You can speak. That is what a teacher can do. In the hospital, a doctor will look at a patient after the Corona lockdown. When he looks at the doctor, welcome back to the hospital. And I met you long time back. And how are you after the Corona? No. And the mother talks to the, so at the same time, on all the occasions, the formal voice should be avoided. The formal vocalization or the formal tonality, the formal tonic version of a language, it cannot suit all the places. A professor is formal in the classroom. The doctor is concerned in the hospital. A mother is very much concerned with the children. There is a voice of concern. There is a voice of care. There is a voice of there is a voice of morality, and the voice or the tone, right, should tell the intention of the person on the stage. So, for a choice of diction, what kind of word, what kind of tonality you choose? I feel happy. I feel so happy on seeing you on the marriage stage. Stay safe without a snake bite. Stay safe without a corona attack. Stay safe without any other accident. And wish you a happy married life. Is the right kind of tonality a lady can have? No. So the choice of dictions and the choice of tonality play a vital role in the delivery of a speaker. A speaker should look at the audience and must decide the list of words that he is going to use in his delivery. And he should all the time, he should all the time he cannot and should not maintain the same vocalization right from the start to the finish. That's not possible. Initially, there'll be a word. And at the end of the session, when he lowers down his voice, the audience should feel captivated. That is the power of words. That is the power of vocalization. So verbalization is equally important, right? Like vocalization. Vocalization is similarly important. Right? So vocalization and verbalization are inseparable. They are interpolated. They are layers of onion. They are layers of onion. For a particular word, you to have a particular voice. So verbalization and vocalization are like the layers of the onion. One layer cannot claim superiority. The other layer cannot be inferior to the earlier layer. Now I am at the top. I am dry. I am fresh. You are wet. The layers cannot have clash. So like that, all layers put together, no, are known as onion. So verbalization and vocalization put together will prove to be an effective communication. Okay. So what is visual? Simple. Body language. When you talk about visualization, simple, we mean body language. So verbalization and vocalization will natural, right? Will naturally make communication good when as I am doing now, as I am doing now. You are not, you don't watch me now. Of course, some time back you looked at me. Now you are watching only the PPT. Therefore, you don't know what kind of body language I use. But I'll just tell you at the end. So visualization is nothing but the body language, the eye contact, the waving, raising the eyebrow, waving of hands, fingering, pointing out, jerking of the body, and stiffening the body, straightening, loosening the body, leaning forward, nodding the head. Most of the time, if you look at people, they won't even react to any kind of expression. They'll just keep calm and quiet and composed. How can you read them? It's very difficult to read their personality, right? And when you want to show something as big, you should say it's a big snake like this, like that. And when you must to show it, so visualization is nothing but telling and showing, either or showing and telling. So tell, like verbalization and vocalization, telling and showing are inseparable. So the telling and showing are the backbones or the central wheels of visualization. Visualization should narrate a story, and from the story one should have visualization, and therefore they are inseparable. So now we will look at some simple rules for an effective presentation. So I concentrated more on the three items: verbalization, vocalization, and visualization, because they are the central or the cerebral parts of communication. Let it be a public speaking or interpersonal communication or intrapersonal communication, if not transpersonal communication. Of course, in the temple, we don't have any audience. We talk to ourselves and we talk to God. We don't know whether he listens to us or not. That's all. And we simply go and stand, but we don't open our mouth to speak. Dear Lord Vinayaga, please save me from Corona. And I have come to your temple, and the gate is closed, but I stand outside. But still, I pray for good health. Though the door is closed, but show grace on me, bless me. So we speak, we talk to the God or the Lord Almighty. That is a transpersonal communication. So in interpersonal communication or intrapersonal communication, the three items are important: verbalization, vocalization, and visualization. So if you look at simple, hello, Dr. Balamun sir?
You proceed, no problem. No problem, you proceed.
Shall I proceed?
Yeah, you proceed,
Okay.
sir, you proceed.
Yeah. So I thought, no, people got disturbed when I gave an example with regard to prayer in front of the temple when the gate is closed. Okay. Anyhow, whatever it is. So yeah. So there are some simple rules apart from verbalization, vocalization, and visualization. Know your audience, as I told you. Look at the following. Look at the following. Consider the level of education first. Whom do you talk to? Undergraduate students, postgraduate students, research scholars, faculty members, or parliamentarians? No. We should know it. What is the level of education of the audience? Then emotional receptivity. You must have heard of IQ, EQ, and EI. Intelligent quotient, emotional quotient, and emotional intelligence, EI. EI. So some scholars have devised the quotient of the personality into three: IQ, EQ, EI. What I'm coming to say here is the emotional part of a communication plays a vital role. It is inevitable and significant to the core. How you are emotionally connected to the audience and how the audience react to your communication through your gestures and their body language and their clapping and their applause and their raising of the eyebrow and their nodding. All these do matter. The emotional receptivity, cultural background, what kind of emotions the audience may have, we should understand first. Level of education, are they illiterate? Are they illiterate? You can look at. At the same time, you must look at the audience as, are they educated? That's very different, because education and illiteracy, right, are quite interesting terms. We should carefully look at this. There are some literate uneducated, and there are some educated illiterate. So illiterates may be educated, the literate may be uneducated. We must look at the level of education of the audience, keeping this literacy and education in mind. Emotional receptivity is the next point, and the cultural background. Cultural background, that's very important. Am I talking to a Keralite? I should give an example from the Kerala background. If I'm talking to a man from Guntur, I should give an example, right, which will be suitable to the Telugu culture. You won't like it. You won't like it. If you want to talk to, you are from Tamil Nadu and he is from Andhra, and you meet, both of you meet each other, and the moment when you ask him, excuse me, sir, where are you from? Well, he can draw his attention by asking this. I repeat, excuse me, sir, where are you coming from? You can draw his attention. But if you go to the second level of communication, if you start asking this question, excuse me, sir, Randy, మీరు కేమూరు, మీరు ఎక్కడి నుంచి వస్తారు అంటే, he feels completely attracted to the core. That's all. You see how the cultural background, I'm talking about the linguistic background, how the cultural linguistic cultural background makes him become very closer to the speaker. Closer to the speaker. So the cultural background. If you talk to someone in Hindi coming from North India, he feels closer. And cultural and linguistic background are very important factors that they should be identified by the speaker first of all. If you are a speaker on the stage, you should know what is the multicultural, multilingual, multi-contextual aspects of the people. So today, the entire world is ruled by three cultures. Sorry, the entire world is now ruled by three cultures: the costume culture, the cosmetics culture, and the techno culture. The techno culture is troubling us like anything. The techno culture makes someone feel totally inferior. The techno culture makes someone totally superior. Someone holding someone with the headphone and an Android mobile phone or the Apple phone on hand and walking along the roadside feels superior to the passers-by. Techno-cultural identity, lingual identity, cultural identity. How the people, audience can be identified. What are their cultural, linguistic background? And what is the level of their education? What is their emotional What is the level of their emotional connectivity to us? And finally, the psychological needs. Psychological needs. This is common to this is quite natural to everybody. Only when there is a psychological need, any audience will pay attention to you. You can experiment with this at home. If you are connected to someone psychologically, they'll listen to you and you will become a good communicator to them, and your communication will become 100% perfect. And when you say something, it should look like a narrative. You know, when you start speaking, there should be a beginning, middle, and at the end. Any communication is like a storytelling. Dr. Subramanian, the coordinator of the lecture series, contacted me in the month of January in 2021, and I delivered a lecture on 5th of June in 2020. That will be a ridiculous job. It will be totally irrelevant. There is no relevance here. There is no connectivity here. Oh, he consulted him in 21. There's no there is a long gap. There's a long gap. To avoid the gap in communication, a speaker on the stage should categorize the content into three. A beginning, middle, and an end. It should look like a narrative. What is the start? What is the central discussion? And what is the closing point? What is the closure? So the start, the starter, the centrality, and the end point should have a connecting thread in your communication. So painting words, paint words, word pictures. No, I like to tell you one interesting. You look at a painting. What happens when you look at a painting? Imagine you look at a girl holding a child in arm, a woman, or maybe a girl, looks like either a woman or a girl. She is holding a child in arm. She looks very young. Holding a child in arm. Her eyes filled with tears. The tears roll down on her cheeks. And she has, undressed hair, torn cloth, torn sari or cloth, and her face is totally, full of depression. And seeing this girl in a painting, what kind of communication, what kind of story, what kind of poem you would start writing? She may be a widow, she may be a deserted woman, she may be deserted, and she is an exploited woman. So you would like that, you start narrating different stories on seeing a painting, seeing a picture. So a painting speaks words. At the same time, a word should give a painting. I told you at the beginning, choice of vocabulary. A word should paint, a painting should speak. A word should paint a picture. A picture should write a story. So that's what I mean by paint word pictures. Express emotions. So the painted words and the painted words and the worded picture will have the intended emotions expressed. Express emotion. So during your communication with anybody, try to always give example, because an advice is 100 times better than an example. Am I right, participants? You will understand. You just start giving advices, because advice is the cheapest product available in all market, but rarely sold. Advice is the cheapest product. The uncle gives you advice, grandma gives you advice, aunt gives you advice, and the niece, the nephew, brother, sister, brother-in-law, sister-in-law, everybody gives you advice. But we rarely find example. And if you go to college, if you go to your department, your professor starts giving advice, but he never sets an example. What will happen? So that will be quite contradictory. Right? So during your communication, try to give illustrations, prove a point, not necessarily with an experiment, When you mix the sulfur dioxide into sulfuric acid, what is born out of into platinum, what is born out of the chemical? That's not what I mean. That is not what I mean. Illustrate your discussion. Prove your point with an example, because an example will exemplify an example will in fact simplify your delivery. By example, I don't mean 100 examples for one statement. 100 examples for one statement. You can give one example for 100 statements. Simple. So that's the power of giving example. And there is an abbreviation. It's only an abbreviation. I repeat, it's only an abbreviation. KISS. 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 Keep it. By it I mean communication. By it I mean communication. Keep it simple and short. Keep communication simple and short. Keep it simple, short. KISS naturally becomes sweet. Not the kiss, communication. Not the kiss, communication. Naturally becomes sweet. The communication becomes sweet when you keep it short, simple, and naturally that becomes sweet. Regarding visualization, I wanted to give you the list of words. So regarding visualizations of communication, I made a reference to body language and appearance. Body language connects you to the audience, and the audience starts listening to you. The body language mirrors what you want to say, and the audience are mirrored by your body language. Your body language reflects what you feel, and the feeling of the audience will reflect on your idea. When you identify yourself with the character, for example, you are going to talk about a woman. You should talk like a woman, not necessarily in a woman's voice or in a female voice. You should understand. You should put yourself into the shoes of a woman. When you talk about the appalling community, you should understand their problems and needs and requirements. Therefore, you identify yourself with the audience. When you identify yourself with the audience, naturally, you will develop a kind of body language which the audience will show you as a response. Respect. By respect, I don't mean saluting the audience. By respect, I don't mean saying good morning to the audience or good afternoon to the audience. I don't mean that respect. The respect of a body refers to the respect to the idea you want to speak. When you want to say something, the concerned organ of your body, the related part of your body should move, jerk, and that is the respect you want, that you show towards the idea you deliver. And this will automatically maintain a rapport with the audience. The rapport with the audience will naturally be maintained, and you will relate yourself, and they will relate you. They'll relate themselves to you. So it is relating to each other. That's what I mean by referentiality. Meaning is referentiality. You refer to them and they refer to you. There is a kind of relationality. When the audience become close to you and you become close to the audience, naturally there exists a kind of relativity. So explain and build your idea. So you are going to explain and build your ideas, and these these are some of the words I have listed out. There are hundreds of ways, methods in different cultural contexts, in different linguistic contexts, right? Because India is a multilingual, multicultural, multi-religious, multi-political nation. So in such a bigger context, you can use any kind of the body language, but that should relate to the concerned culture. For example, you know how a foreigner would recognize you. A foreigner would recognize a newcomer, a stranger, with a kiss. With a kiss. Is that possible? Can the body language be applied in right the southern part of India, or in your native town or village, or in your hamlet, or in your street? No. But in the European country, kissing anybody opposite to you is a very basic recognition. Very basic recognition you can do, but that is not accepted here in the other culture. And you can give any number of kisses there, but for a single kiss, the person will be no more here in southern India. So by body language, I mean the cultural body language, the linguistic body language, and the religious body language. On seeing an Islam friend, I can hug him. That's not a problem. He would feel very much closer to me. He'll be very much attracted. But imagine you apply the same body language to that becomes totally irrelevant and highly contradictory, socially contradictory, linguistically contradictory, religiously contradictory. That becomes a crime. Sometimes. So by the list of words, I don't mean that these are I don't mean that these are the only items which you can use. And depending on they are just examples. And depending upon the cultural linguistic context, you can use any kind of words that suits the place. Your delivery, by delivery, the presentation, by delivery, I mean articulation. 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 What do you speak? Delivery, the presentation. You must vary your articulation, projection, articulation, pitch, rate. So during vocalization, during my reference to vocalization, I made a point on this. So projection, articulation, pitch, and rate. So what is the idea that you are going to project? Articulation is not just an ordinary term. One great thinker, you can note down, Michel Foucault, a French philosopher. Michel Foucault, his name is spelled as Foucault. Foucault. Michel Foucault, he says, articulation, attribution, designation, and derivation. I repeat, articulation, attribution, attribution, designation, how do you designate? Naming, designation, and derivation. How do you derivate? How do you multiply the meaning? How do you interpret articulation? So articulation, attribution, designation, and derivation. He calls it the four schemata of knowledge. Four schemata of knowledge. So in your delivery, articulation finds a very important role. By articulation, I mean the honest, sincere presentation of the idea that you are going to present. So the pitch, the tonality, and the rate of communication. So the pitch and the rate of pitch, right, should be in a good wavelength. And if you look at the echo result, if you look at the picture of what do you call it, an ECG report, ECG picture, you can look at the rate and pitch, and it should neither be it should neither be abnormal nor below normal. And a normal communication, right, aims at reaching the purpose or delivering the good that the audience may require. You know,
sorry
then
for the
almost
interruption.
yeah, please.
Question session வேற இருக்கு, கொஞ்சம் faster முடியுமா?
Yeah, I'm going to close. Exactly, okay. I'm going to close now.
Okay, thank you. Sorry for the interruption.
Thank you very much. You have sensed my tonality, so that I am coming to a closure. That shows the clear attention to the slides. Okay, be sincere. Of course, I feel very happy to quote Alexander Gregg, right? A very big theorist, right, in the field of communication. There are three things to aim at in public speaking on any platform. First, get into your subject. Then get your subject into yourself. Get your subject into yourself. Get into your subject. Get your subject into yourself. And lastly, to get your subject into the heart of your audience. So that's what I mean by sincerity. And this kind of, I'm talking about this by distraction, I mean this slide. This slide has distracted my body, has distracted my body. This particular slide is distracting my body language. This particular slide is not distracting my expression to the audience. The particular slide is a distraction to my the sincerity that I want to show on my face to the audience. I mean, this is a techno distraction. There is a visual distraction, verbal distraction. In a formal communication, a unparliamentary word will become a great distraction. So avoiding distraction is very important. And these are the summing up. What is the purpose of my presentation? And whom am I going to present? Whom am I presenting to? What do they already know? What do they need to know? What is the key message? How long do I have? Can I continue or not? Shall I come to an end or not? That's what the ERS principle says. I have explained something about presentation. I'll try to reinforce it by telling some narrative, and I am summarizing with this. So during the question and answer sessions, be calm, honest, open-minded in question, especially whether you are a questioner or you are the answerer. Whether you are questioning or answering, in both cases, one should be calm, honest, open-minded, and prepared to face anything. And therefore, be sincere, know your audience, tell stories, build rapport, listen, vary your delivery, keep it simple, be prepared. So thank you, my dear participants. I wish you all, once again, a stay at home. I am not departing. I am waiting for the question session as instructed by Dr. Subramanian and Dr. Balamurugan, sir. And now over to the coordinators.
Thank you, Palanichami sir, for your wonderful lecture and sparing your valuable time with us. Very informative lecture. And through the chat, we hear more chats from the participants expressing their satisfaction about your lecture and all. Now it's the time for
Thank you.
audiences to get clarification from the resource person. Now everyone, I just
Waiting.
unmute each and everyone. So audience, one by one, they can ask questions. Now I just unmute Preeti. Preeti, just please proceed and ask questions from the resource person.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir,
Hello,
please can
hello.
I get any tips for improve our communication skills?
Madam,
You please repeat.
Please can I get any tips to improve our communication skills?
Madam, very simple. So I can give you some prescriptions. Read aloud at least half an hour a day. By reading, I don't mean Tamil reading or Malayalam reading. By reading, I mean reading an English news item for half an hour as loud as you can. That is the statement. What is the effect behind this? Simple. When you start reading aloud, you listen to the pronunciation to yourself. So you are listening to yourself. When you are a listener to your own reading, you will be able to understand the reaction when you read it out for others. So first of all, the reading habit for half an hour as loud as you can from the Hindu newspaper or any newspaper will definitely help you in improving your reading skills. Naturally, that will improve your vocabulary, and you will be tempted to use the vocabulary in your workplace, in your normal communication. And this is one method. And another method, you just take a note. I'm just telling this for all the participants. Just take a small notebook and jot down the words. At least write 2 words a day with meaning. The next day, use those 2 words in sentences of your own. And sometimes we should have imagined the audience in front of mirror. You can just imagine your audience. Imagine the audience, maybe your father, maybe your teacher, maybe your professor. You just talk to the professor, right, in front of you. I mean, on the mirror, he is invisible. But just imagine he is on the mirror and talk to him. Excuse me, sir. I have prepared this material and I like to do this and that. Just talk to any imagined audience, maybe a manager or a friend or your father or your professor, whoever it is. So imagine the communication is one psychological solution for an improved communication. That is another thing.
Yeah,
And
thank
like
you,
that, there are
sir.
many. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Preeti, for your question. Now, just unmute Rehmani. Rehmani from Afghanistan. You please proceed, Rehmani, now. Rehmani, you just unmute from your side. They have unmuted you from our side. You just unmute from your side. Rehmani. There is no response from Rehmani. Now I just unmute
Okay.
Praveen Kumar.
Praveen Kumar.
Praveen Kumar, you proceed. Praveen Kumar, you just unmute from your side. Okay, now I unmute Aishwarya. Aishwarya?
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yes, Aishwarya, you proceed.
Good afternoon, sir. Hello. Hello.
Aishwarya, unmute panna. Aishwarya, you are audible. You are audible. You can ask the question.
Sir, I would like to ask a question, sir.
Yes.
That is body language more powerful than when we talk than verbal language?
Can you repeat the question? Body language is more. Do we need body language while talking? What's your question?
No, sir. Is body language more powerful than verbal language?
Okay. Panisamy, sir. Panisamy, please be on the line. Just a minute, be on the line. Just a minute, be on the line. There's a connection problem between us and the resource person. Resource person in Pondicherry, we are in Chidambaram. Yeah. Panichami, sir, are you able to hear?
Is it?
You got the
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
You got the question. There's a question from Aishwarya, whether the body language is more powerful than the word.
No. Waiting for the question. What is the question?
Aishwarya, just please repeat the question.
Yes, sir. Is body language powerful than verbal language?
Oh, well.
Panichami, sir. Panichami, sir. Dr. Panichami, sir. Aishwarya, sorry for the communication problem. Your question is body language is more powerful than word, isn't it? Yeah. Hello, Aishwarya. Are you able to hear
Hello,
me?
sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Your question is body language is more powerful than word.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. When there is a vision, if you are able to see a human being, so we can communicate the words with the body language. But the primary communication is words. Through words, we can communicate. But if you attach the body language with the words, then it will be more powerful. So the body language makes the communication more powerful, more effective. The words can communicate, but the body language can add more effectiveness on the communication. That's what I understand. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, Aishwarya. Panichami, sir. Thank you, participants, for your patient hearing. And since at the last moment we have a technical problem with the resource person, and anyhow, thanks for your kind patient hearing for the last thing. And now, Panichami, sir, back in the line.
I'm online. Yeah, got the line.
Yes. There's a communication problem between you and us.
Yeah. Yes.
Please. Now I just unmute Muhammad Fazil Ahmed.
Okay, please.
Muhammad Fazil, you proceed.
Sir, good afternoon, sir. Very informative section, sir. Sir,
Thank you so much, Mohammed Fazil. Yeah.
My question to you is whether what is the difference between soft skills and communication skills? And second question is, according to Mehrabian principle, they have given more importance to non-verbal skills than verbal skills. Could you please put a light on that?
Yeah, definitely. So the soft skills and the soft skills are part and parcel of communication skills. No, to be very precise, soft skills are nothing but the execution of your internal communication. For example, you have good words, you have good knowledge, and you have good character. You have good human being in you. You have a good behavior. You have good attitude, and you have all these good qualities in you. All these good qualities are executed in the form of communication. How you are going to use all these characteristics through your language. So use of language with regard to No, LSRW, listening, speaking, reading, and writing. The presentation skills, right, are used to express all your soft skills internally, right? That is one thing. Then the other thing is body language is important, no doubt, no doubt. But at the same time, I think during the interruption, Dr. Balamurugan was telling you the right answer. Body language will make the communication more powerful. But at the same time, without verb, the non-verbal communication may not have what do you call the intended effect, because all the time communication is not non-verbal, but anytime communication can be verbal. For a verbal communication, you need not have the presence of an audience, but of an audience. Simple.
Thank you, Panichami sir, for your excellent reply. Now I just unmute Dr. Shyamla. Dr. Shyamla, you please proceed, madam.
Yes, sir. Sir, good evening, sir. You are talking about the 3 V's, sir. I am Dr. Shyamala Vijayasiva from Chennai. You are talking about 3 V's, that is visualization, vocalization, and verbalization.
Verbalization.
There are two kinds of major this thing. One is by word, and another one is without word. So you mean vocalization includes both words and sounds? Without words?
Definitely. Vocalization includes sounds. You are right, madam. You are right. Vocalization includes sounds. Yeah.
Okay. So then I have one more doubt, because you are talking about the receiver, sender, message, and the receiver. So the actual
communication
success,
theory.
So actual success of communication is, I feel, at the end of the receiver, because if our message is only properly understood by the opposite end. So in between, we come across so many interferences. So how to overcome those? We can even call as noise in Tamil, tondaravu, tolla, like that. So
definitely.
So could you please, because our communication must be a purposeful one. If our message serves the purpose, then only it is a good communication. So how to make good communication and how to reduce the noises. See, இப்போ ஒரு விளையாட்டு கூட சின்ன வயசுல விளையாடுவோம். ஒருத்தர் காதுல ஒருத்தர் சொல்லுவாங்க, பேர் சொல்லிட்டு கட்சியில அது டோட்டலி வேற மாதிரி. So please throw something how to make.
Actually, this is quite interesting. But it is an inevitable and a perennial problem, madam. Gossiping and we call it interpolation. We call it interpolation. For the interpolation or the misinterpretation in hermeneutics of communication, we need not too much worry about it, because I am talking about communication between communication face to face. So during in a face to face communication, I hope it's very easy to avoid distractions. It's very easy to avoid in the interruptions of the third person. But the thing is, when you are communicating to a person off the line, when you are communicating to a person away from a place, then the communication will have to undergo different carriers. It may be a professional courier or a postal department, and when it is carried by the person who you don't like, or the person who doesn't like you, the communication will become a misunderstanding. That is, that does not come under the purview of the communication theory. It is actually an interpolation or misinterpretation. Misinterpretation is possible in the intentional corruption of idea. Intentional corruption of idea.
Okay.
Corruption of idea is an intentionality, and therefore something is gossiped and misinterpreted.
Okay.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Now I just
Sir, may I have a question? Sir, may I have a question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Yes, you can ask. You proceed, ask the question.
Hello, sir.
Hello. Good evening.
Yeah. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
Sir, thank you very much for your presentation. I would like
Yeah,
to ask
thank you. Thank
this
you.
one. Mostly today, the people are using the words to introduce themselves. Sometimes somebody says, I myself, A, B, C, X, Y, Z, whatever. But somebody
No,
says
no, no, no.
using the myself in introduction. This is not the correct way. But I can see so many people still are using I myself, Krishna or something, whatever. They are giving
No,
explanation.
no, 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 no,
Is it
no,
the
no,
correct
no,
way
no,
to
no.
use the myself?
Definitely
The
not, sir.
second thing,
Definitely not.
for
Please,
the
definitely not. Please don't follow them.
okay, that is why this was a doubt for me. Supposed to, because mostly in the
Yeah.
presentation and the conferences, I can see so many people and researchers
No,
are
no,
using
no,
like
no,
this.
sir. No, sir. I myself, Gulab Mir. No need, no need, no
Yes.
need. Don't follow them.
Okay. The second point I would like to mention that today, how we can use the gender for the God, what gender is the correct way to use? Because mostly
It's
people are using he, but somebody is asking still, there is a doubt for the people are saying, asking why you are not using she.
This is the question of millions in the world. You are one among the millions. And what kind of
That's why this was a doubt for me. But
yeah, definitely,
still I
sir.
could
This is
not
one of the
receive my response in this way.
yeah. You are it, sir. But you know,
Because you're the professor of English, that's why I supposed to clear this point.
Yeah. I understand. He and she. He stands for masculine gender and she stands for feminine gender. And
yes.
Masculinity and femininity are very much innate in God. Masculinity and femininity are very much innate in God. The categorization like he referring to God and she referring to a woman is man-made.
Yeah.
So let us be very comfortable with this linguistic wordplay. She includes he.
Yeah.
He is in she. Man is in woman. Male is in female. Hero is in heroine. So with which we can compromise.
Clear, sir. What is from your point of view, what we should call like?
Gender discrimination of the Lord Almighty is man-made, definitely. But you know, we cannot. There is no feminine language or masculine language. There is no answer for this question from a linguistic.
Thank you, Globmir, for your nice question. And I want to add some more information along with the resource person. Personally, I feel that God has no genders. He is beyond
gender.
It is because of our convenience. We classify God as a male or a female. So I think the God is above genders. That's my personal view.
Definitely.
The last and final question. Now I just unmute Revati. Revati, you please proceed and ask the question.
I think she was the first to ask question.
Revati.
She tried.
Revati, just unmute from your side. We have unmuted you from our side. You just unmute you from your side. Revati. Now I unmuted Pradoshini. Pradoshini, you proceed.
Sir, good evening, sir. Very wonderful session.
Thank you. Thank you, madam. Thank you.
There was power in your speech. I would like to ask a very simple tip that will be useful for the beginners.
Definitely, madam. Please.
So, though they are prepared and very well versed, they get stress when they see a huge number of before them.
You are right, madam. Very valid doubts. Yeah, please.
So can you give a small tip to relieve their stress at that time, sir?
Certainly, madam. Certainly. We have a backstage. We have a backstage on any platform. Before going on the stage, before going on the actual platform, before going to the actual context, right? The speaker may know the subject, the speaker may be well prepared, the speaker may have confidence, the speaker may be well qualified. Despite all these criteria, they feel stressed. They undergo a kind of pressure. The pressure is mainly due to the ladder or the hierarchy, I can say hierarchy. People who have given the responsibility to the speaker, the people who have given the chance to the speaker. So to satisfy all these people, the speaker wants to give extra care only to the three hierarchies, right? And the very simple solution I can give is you forget the activator, you get activated yourself. Get activated yourself, and naturally the speaker will forget the one who has given the chance, the one who is going to pay for it, the one who will be the what do you call the one who will be the immediate boss. So well versed, well prepared, sincere, honest, but still stressed. Who is the stress? The hierarchy. So remove the hierarchy from the mind. Naturally, think that the audience are your sole responsible persons in front of you. Then they'll be able to perform what they are assigned to do.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Pradeshni, for your question. Now I thank the resource person, Dr. Panichami, for your effective and valuable, more informative lecture. And I hope the participants might have enjoyed the session, might have got some useful from the resource person. So once again, I thank the resource person for his valuable speech. And I thank the professor and head Department of Political Science and the technical team, Ms. Narmada and Sivanesan, for their valuable help and support to conduct the course. And this is time to Panichami sir, if he has any thing he can share at the last moment.
So thank you, Dr. Balamurugan, for introducing me on glowing terms. I thank the wonderful contribution made by the Department of Political Science under the able leadership of Dr. Subramanian. And people like Dr. Balamurugan, right, and others in the department, I hope are extending great support to Dr. Subramanian sir. And I personally thank the technical team with you for conducting all this lecture series. So once again, I thank the department for offering this opportunity to me. And I feel happy that I am also a part of this online lecture series and this webinar during this corona lockdown. I hope we have made use of this time by such kind of interactions. I really thank Dr. Balamurugan and Dr. Subramanian sir for sparing their valuable time in organizing this webinar. I hope the participants would have given good feedback now and then regarding this. And I also feel the same. My feedback won't be different from the audience. Definitely, this webinar will go a richer height in the forthcoming future. I thank one and all for giving this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Panichami sir, for being part of this lecture series. And thank you, sir. Thank you for sparing your wonderful and valuable time with us.
Thank you.
Dear participants,
thank you.
Tomorrow will be the 4th day and the last day of the online course. And tomorrow we'll have two resource person. The morning we have Dr. Neelam Pandey, Associate Professor, and she is going to talk on the key to success, prerequisites and the strategies to success. And the afternoon we have Dr. A.P. Nadarajan, Associate Professor, Department of Political Science, Government Law College, Salem. And he is going to talk on training on effective listening. So again, I thank the head of the department, the technical team for their valuable support and logical support to conduct the program. Thank you, participants. Thank you all. We will meet you tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, one and all.